After trying all the different movie creators that I've got, nothing seems to be working. So what I'm going to do is record this and download it on the computer and see how that goes. Okay, so what I want to do is start off from right from where I can remember we arriving in New Zealand when I was 2.5 years old, and my memory goes way back to then. When I was 6 years old, I want to share this experience because it has a great bearing on my life. And growing up in a military camp, because Dad was in the army, over in the backyard, we used to have Bailey Bridge panels. They were about 12 feet by 12 feet square with a diamond in the middle, weighed 800 weight, whatever that is in kilos, very heavy. And they used to use those for building bridges in the war. And so anyway, you'd have them all stacked horizontally and then stacked vertically. And so what happened is, at 6 years old, I was playing with my friend who was 9, and anyway, he was up on the top with the vertical ones and I was down the bottom. And he said, "Come on, Jeff, come on, get it, come on up." And I said, "No, no, 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 we're not allowed." So anyway, I finally decided, okay, I'll try and climb up. Well, while I was trying to climb, he actually pushed the panel on me because my hand went behind me here and my other arm went behind under my back. And you can see that great big bruise there. That's what happened when I was 6, when the panel came down, hit me on the head and pinned me down on the vertical, put a big split in the back of my head. Definitely thought I was going to die, and this hand was pinned and I couldn't do anything with it, and because broke all my knuckles there. And so what I did is somehow I was able to get my arm out, and at 6 years old lifted this huge iron off and then just slumped down. And anyway, my brother, who was also 9, and his friend Bruce, they saw what happened. They came racing over, and anyway, Bruce carried me, and Gary shot off and going to ring Dad to get the car down to get me to the hospital. And I was thinking while he was carrying me, I thought, well, how did that 6-year-old boy, lift that huge panel off? Even then I thought there's got to be something greater than me, because I should have been dead, really. So that's the prelude into my life story, because ever since then I've always looked at what is it that makes us work, what is it that makes us tick, what is out there that is controlling all this, and why didn't I die? And so anyway, I got on and went back to school and did my physiotherapy that never worked. But anyway, it had a pretty good school life. Went to about 25 different schools. Never learnt very much. It was only in the last 3 years at high school that I was in one school at a time. And anyway, I was in the engineering class, and top grade engineering class, and I was in a physics class. And anyway, I just couldn't get physics. It just wasn't me. My older brother, he was very good at it. Anyway, I was just sitting there going, oh, and anyway, this piece of chalk came in, smack, hit me right in the teeth, and anyway, I called the teacher a bastard. So he said, "Outside, McGill." Anyway, he was standing up on a ledge and I was down the bottom. He said, "Take the cap out of your pants, McGill," and gave me 6 canes. And man, oh man, I've never hurt so much ever since then. Just excruciating. Anyway, I was walking into the class and everyone was going, how many? And, so I put my hand up. And at the end of the class, I told this big bully of a man where to stick his cane and his school, and I told him it's so big it could fit up his backside. Called him a little bit harsher than that, and walked out. And anyway, it was about a block and a half from home, and from where Dad was in the restaurant that we had. And walked around there and told Dad what the story was. I said, I'm not going back to school. And he said, well, I said, that guy is just a brute. I mean, I've got blood in my pants, Dad. He said, let's have a look. Well, anyway, there was a welt like that. That's how accurate he was, just straight across my backside, red raw. And anyway, he said, well, what are you going to do, son? You got to. I said, well, how much rent do you want for your shop down the road? He had another shop. He said $35. I said, I'll take it. So anyway, I took the shop. He said, what you going to do? He said, so I told him I'm going to open up an amusement arcade with Skeletric car racing and penny machines and pinball machines and sell Coke and Fanta and all that sort of stuff and chips. And he goes, oh, when did you think of that? And I said, from the minute I left school to the minute I got here. So I guess something about me just sort of says, there's better around the corner if things are not working here. And it's pretty much been what it's been through my life. So anyway, I started work there and I got into retail and I was very good at it. And because I was a little overweight and I'd been bullied all through my school years and that sort of thing, it was not nice, and so I didn't have a very good self-esteem by the time I left school. Which, by the way, I'd just turned 15, didn't finish off the college, and so anyway, I decided to get into sales, and I found that if I was nice to people, they'd be nice back to me and actually buy things off me. And I thought, oh, well, I must be all right, So I decided, well, if I get better at selling, then more people like me, and if more people like me, I'll feel good about myself. So anyway, that's what I did, but I wasn't your typical, gift of the gab salesman. I was genuine, down to earth, looking to help the customer get what they were looking for. I mean, yeah, sometimes the odd one I suggested that they have that one because we had it in stock and I got a bit of commission, but most of the time, 90% of the time, my customers always got what they were looking for. And generally, most of the customers I dealt with wanted to deal with me. And so anyway, I decided that retail was a pretty good deal and I was getting commission. And so I moved to, that was in Whanganui in North Island. Then I moved to Palmerston North, just 30 odd miles away. Helped Dad out with chefing for a hotel. He trained me to be a chef. And at 18, I moved up to Auckland and got into carpets. I knew somebody who knew somebody, so I got into carpets. And I'm going to pause here. Just needed a bit of fresh air in the room. So anyway, at 18, I decided I wanted to better myself, so I went to a Dale Carnegie course, picked up a book called The Miracles of Thinking Big, and I thought, right, if that's what they say you got to do, well, that's what I do. So I smiled everywhere and walked 25% faster, and people noticed me, and so I decided, oh well, I've got to have a goal. So I decided by the time I was before my 19th birthday, I wanted to be the assistant to the general manager, and that's what I really wanted to do, is learn how to be a manager. So anyway, I progressed through the ranks, and so what happened was that they could see I'd had a bit of ability, so they got me to look after the carpet warehouse and in amongst the sales, and also then they decided to use me in different departments. So I went into kitchenware, chinaware, or crockery, furnishings, furniture. Went right through the whole thing: home appliances, luggage, hardware, you name it in a department store. I did it. The only thing I didn't do was lingerie, but obviously they had a very good reason for not putting me in there. But anyway, before the 19th birthday, I was the assistant to the general manager, and he helped me quite a bit and trained me and put me in different positions again, and sent me out to a branch where I was assistant manager. Only there 3 months. They said, "Well, look, we're opening a new shop, and the biggest one in Auckland." He said, "We'd like you to be assistant manager there." So, 20 years old, just before my 20th, I was assistant manager in the St Luke's store in Auckland. And then they said, "Well, look, you had your training. Now we want you to go out and look after a branch out in the country." So that's what I did, and I had 7 staff, and just used my ingenuity and developed the store and redesigned it, put it the way I thought it should be at 20 years old, and anyway, I had the most profitable branch out of 7 branches. So we weren't number one in sales because we weren't big enough, and we're only looking after a catchment area of about 35,000. So I decided to do a bit of carpet contracting, and which meant I'd just buy rolls of carpet, put my markup on it, and get somebody else to install it. I was doing very well at it, and anyway, the general manager, who was now a very good friend, he used to take me out in his boat and go and get drunk together and that sort of thing. And he said, "Jeff," he said, "I heard what you're doing." He said, "Son, you got 2 choices." He said, "Either give your business away, or you haven't got a job." So I said to Wally DeLacy is his name. I said, "Well, sorry, Wally, but I'm making more in the carpet contract than I'll ever make here, so see you later." Left there, and 1973 bought a brand new Fiat 125, and they paid cash for that out of the proceeds. I was now 21, and so just got into other businesses, went into sewing machines. For a short time, opened up a shop in 246 in Queen Street in Auckland. Didn't make a lot of money, didn't lose a lot of money, but had pretty good sales. The last week that we were in there, funnily enough, the lease expired, and we decided, no, we're not going to carry it on. And that last week we did equivalent to a month's turnover in the last week. So who knows whether it was just because we were closing, or we had a sense of urgency about us. Then went and worked in another sewing machine shop with my mate Jim, and then went and did discount wool. And you just, in New Zealand, I mean, wool is the main product. You just don't discount it. But anyway, myself and my friend Gavin, we decided to discount it. I came up with a marketing plan, and we sold more wool than probably 5 stores put together in a very short time. Anyway, Gavin and I went our separate ways. Anyway, we caught up a short while later and decided to write a book about system picks of racehorses. And so anyway, we went out and promoted this book, and it was staggering, the numbers that we sold. We made huge amount of money, and that was we're talking about in the mid-70s now. And anyway, we used to go to the races every week, all over the place. Where there was always a race meeting on in New Zealand somewhere within 100 kilometres. So Gavin and I would go to the races, and we used to do very well picking our system horses. And then anyway, I decided, well, I had enough of that, so I went and worked for a home appliance store There were 13 branches in a company called Arthur H. Nathan. They're a big appliance store, part of the Nathan Group. And anyway, I applied for one in Glenfield, which was like their number number two store. And the sales manager said to me, he said, "Well, look, Jeff," he said, "I think, with your ability, we would like you to take over Manurewa," which was sort of low class area. And anyway, I got in there, and sales were excelling. And anyway, this is the time when colour TV was new and had the box cabinets and that sort of thing. And so anyway, they came to me and said, "Look, Jeff," he said, "we're paying 3% to the mall on sales, and your sales have gone through the roof. And to overcome this, we want you to put your sales through to Pamuir," which was just about 15 kilometres away. And he said, "We'll restructure your commission so that you can sell brownware, whiteware, music instruments, and records." So they increased my commission, which was to 15% of the profit after a break-even point. Well, I set a goal that I wanted to be number one in the branch in 18 months. So I was flying, and I got to the point where my profit was number one out of the 13 stores, and I was number two to the guy that I used to send the colour TVs to. So he was beating me because I was sending all my colour TV sales to him. But anyway, they then came back and they said, "Look, you're just earning too much money, Jeff. The director's not very happy having to pay you all this money when his salary is less than what you're getting in commission." And I said, "Well, that's what you do it for." Anyway, just wasting my time, wasting my breath. So I just said, "No, stuff it, see you later." And so anyway, I caught up with my mate Jim again, and I said, "How about we open up a sewing machine shop? Let's go down to Christchurch, have a look around there, because it's a big catchment area." So all right, well, went down there, had a look, and we found within 2 blocks in the city centre in Christchurch there were 17 jewellers. And I thought, man, oh man, this place has obviously got a bit of money. So, at 23, you think that sort of thing. And so anyway, went back, packed up the families, threw the new baby and my wife in the car, and packed up all our possessions, drove down from Auckland down to Christchurch. Took us 2 days over the ferry and what have you, slept in the car. And anyway, we came down there, opened up a shop. We found a 2-storey building, painted it bright yellow. We had living quarters upstairs, which we rented out, and the shop downstairs, which Jim and I fitted out. Anyway, we decided that once we hit $1,500 turnover, Jim would come in full time. He was out there still getting a job, and we were just making enough money to survive. So anyway, we did that, and then we went to a Napoleon Hill course, and it was a 13-week course where we really learned to open our minds. I've since learned that everything that Napoleon Hill expounds is in the Bible, and but anyway, we decided, okay, well, what we're going to do is 100% our business every year. And anyway, that was in 1976, and yes, we 100%ed every year. So we went, the first year was 125, second year was 250, third year was 500, fourth year was $1 million, and fifth year was $2 million. And in the last year of 1980, coming up to the fifth year, in that fifth year, I gave my life to Christ, and had a quite an incredible experience. I won't go into all the nitty-gritties, but I knew that Christ was living in me. I absolutely knew it. Devout Christian for 7 years. Used to go to home groups, church, get involved, Youth for Christ, doing all sorts of things. And it really bugged me that people, would listen to the same thing as I was, and they were just going off and doing their own thing. They were just paying lip service to it, and I thought, I don't want to be associated with a group like this. Anyway, I was over in Colorado Springs on a convention, and a mate of mine, Claude, offered me a job to look after the finance of their group of companies. And in 1987, so I said to my wife, well, look, I'd like to take this opportunity. Went over there, and I said, I'll come back and get you in February, and once we get everything established, if that's okay. So we said, we'll see how we go. So anyway, off I went, and financially I was sound. Anyway, things didn't work out. Came back, my wife didn't want to go, so I stayed over there, and started drinking and smoking again, and really just sort of backslid. And I thought, this is not the way I want to live my life. So I got into timeshare, and that was back in 88, and I found I did very well at timeshare. And just to clarify it, timeshare had a very bad rap. There's nothing wrong with timeshare. It was just the way it was marketed. You had a lot of cowboys who marketed timeshare the wrong way. Just had the wrong attitude toward the customer. Anyway, I always did very well. My closing rate was the top in sales. My closing rate was top, and as a manager, my deposits were higher than all my colleagues. And they'd always say, well, how do you do it? And I said, well, I just be real with them. I just tell them like it is. I don't try and fluff it up, make it out to be better than what it is, which most of the salesmen do, and I've got to sort of come in and shape a bit of reality on it. But it was a very good proposition, and I found that I learnt a lot of techniques on how to close a sale, and then I also learned a lot of techniques that I was taught to then put my slant on it for me to become somebody who, again, was just genuine. The people that I sat in front of instantly had a rapport with them. They believed me, sort of like nice big cuddly teddy bear type of attitude toward me. Anyway, it was very good, and but the life itself was amazing. We didn't start work till 9:30. We usually finished about 3:30, 4 o'clock. Go up to the bar, have a few beers, 5 or 6, and play pool, and then go home, pick the girls up, and then go out for dinner and have another 5 or 6 or more beers, and come home again. And that was life for quite a few years. I became the in-house manager briefly, obviously, and that lasted so long. And then I got involved with another business from a guy from Aussie, and anyway, that went all sour. And anyway, things just weren't working out for me, and I decided that life wasn't worth living. And anyway, we'd had Zenny, our first boy. He was just on a year old, or just under a year old, and Shri went to her grandmother's funeral on the other side of Bali. And anyway, I decided that I'd had enough. So I sold a computer I had, and I went and bought a couple of bottles of vodka and some sleeping pills. And I was already, by the time I got home, I was already drunk on beer anyway. So I thought, well, goodbye world. Thank you everybody. See you later. And took the pills and kept drinking the vodka until I crashed out. And 3:30 I woke up and I thought, God, I can't even kill myself properly. I can't do anything right. So what money I had. I left half at home with Sri, and I just decided that was it. I'll just go wherever I go, and when I run out of money, I'll just top myself. That'll be it. That'll do. So I really wasn't thinking too good. Anyway, jumped in a taxi, got to the bus station, went to the first bus, and said, "Wherever you going, take me there." And they said, "Oh, we're going up to the Penang Bai, and that's where the ferry is to Lombok." So I said, "Oh, okay." So anyway, I went over to Lombok, and anyway, I caught up with a couple of young fellas there, and I told them what I was doing, and I had a few watches, and they sold them for me to get some more money, and so all I was doing is living in a reasonable hotel with a room in it for about $12 a night, and having a few beers and getting drunk and go to sleep, and that went on for about a couple of weeks, and anyway, I found that just talking to these guys, they were into travel and they had a restaurant and that. I actually started telling them what they could do to improve their business and how to get more business, and they started implementing things, and it was working for them. And anyway, instead of now thinking about jumping into the ocean and finishing it off, I realised that, gosh, that's what I'm here for. That's what I've been put on this earth for, is to help people help themselves, which was something I decided when I was 19 years old, but I'd forgotten. And I thought, wow, that's what I'm here for. That's what I should be doing. And so anyway, frantic phone calls home and to my daughter and brother and mum. And anyway, I got back home. My wife didn't know where I was, and I just didn't know what to do. Anyway, I got back there, finally plucked up the courage to get hold of Sri and say, well, look, give me a couple of months, I'll get the money together and get you out of here. Which I did, and went and worked for Honda, and Honda Japan were the owners of the company in Christchurch, and got fully trained by Honda. And again, there's in Christchurch was number one branch in the whole of New Zealand, and I was one of 7 salesmen, and of course I was starting to do very well after about 3 or 4 months, and started selling 12, 13, 14 cars a month, and then I wanted to do something a bit more lucrative. So when I got my wife out, I decided to go with home ventilation systems, and I didn't really get my head around it the first couple of weeks, but then it sort of dawned on me what I was doing, and I always have to figure out what are the benefits for the person buying it rather than what do I get out of it. So anyway, I decided, well, nobody's done 100,000 in a month before, so that's my target. And the following month, I sold $100,000 worth, and that was selling at $3,500 at a time, and you're pretty much doing it on the first visit. So with my timeshare experience, and being able to, talk to the people in their own homes, and I found it very, very easy, because what I had to offer was excellent product, and it was my ability to explain how it worked, and then it was just coming down to the price. So that was not difficult, and to the point where I was number one in the sales team out of about 12. And anyway, the number 2 guy, he came up to me and said, well, listen, Jeff, he said, would you be interested in doing something together and opening up our own company? I said, why not? We're only getting a small percentage of the commission there, but I'd rather get the full commission. So we did that. In the first 6 months, we turned over $1 million, and the second 3 months, we turned over another $1 million. So we've done $3 million 3 months, I went over to Bali for a holiday. Came back and found that the business had closed. I couldn't believe it. So anyway, my partner, who was looking after the finances, said, well, we were trading as insolvent. Anyway, that went through the official S&Es and that sort of thing. And anyway, they said the prognosis was we got too big too quick and created a financial strain on the business. Well, so anyway, I went back to Bali, and it didn't do any good there. And so I decided to get a job either in Darwin, Australia, or Western Australia in Australia. So anyway, I rang up the Honda dealer in Darwin and in Western Australia. Anyway, the Darwin dealer said, well, look, I'm coming over there at Christmas. He said, told him a bit about it myself, sent him information about myself because I'd never had a resume. But anyway, we met up, said, yep, righto. So I came over on 31st of December 2010 with $300 in my pocket, and left my wife and children at home. We had 2 children by then. Young Troy was then. And then, anyway, within 3 months, done very well. Went over, picked up 3 of the boys, came over, set up in a very nice, fully furnished place, and then for 3 months, for a month, and went looking. Ended up with a beautiful place, like a penthouse, and it was just beautifully huge place to play with the kids. It's perfect. And anyway, we did very well, and halfway through the year, there was a big flood in Thailand, and of course that caused a real big problem with all the motor vehicle dealers coming out of Thailand. But anyway, I decided to leave Honda and go over to Toyota, and I went to sell in the fleet department. Did exceedingly well, and again, dealing with business people really is my forte, and because I talk their language, and I treat them with respect, and I know that they're going to respond to me the way I want them to, because of just the nature I went about it. So when they came in, I very, very few sales that I didn't convert. The only ones I didn't are guys who are just looking for a price and being ridiculous